about what we're going to do with their certificates? Governor Evers! So what I wanted to say is thank you very much. It's been a long time since you've been here. We got some fun things cooked up for you this morning with you. Yep. And I think when we're done, you're going to just skip out of here saying this is why I love the Wisconsin Library Association. On the other hand, things could go horribly wrong. No. In that case, we are the Wisconsin Dairy. So thank you very much for coming. Many of you, who are the first timers here? Raise your hand. Wow. So there's quite a crew here. And so some of you may not know that Superintendent Evers visited us here at these programs for many years. And then in 2018, as he was on the road to his campaign for governor, visited us again, the last time as superintendent. And then in 2019, came back as governor. And the fact that he's here today only goes to show that only a global pandemic can come between him and us. All I want to say lastly is you gave us the tools during that time. You came to us in our communities. There is some of those executive orders that came down and the librarian stood up and said, wait, what about us? We're essential workers and whatever it might be, so that we can deliver the services in our communities, because often we are the first responders within our communities. We're the first responders when someone finds themselves out of work and they need those unemployment resources in that anxious time. They need that lift back into the workforce. We are the first responders when someone is suffering from either a domestic situation or mental illness and they just need a place to come and sit and think and recalibrate, and even for us to offer some of the resources that all your other agencies that are dear to you have available. And then we're also, in the winter, we often see we are the first responders when those experiencing homelessness just need a place to come and sit and be warm. And then lastly, sometimes during tragedy, as happened in Waukesha, the library throws its doors open and the police brought hundreds of shaken parade goers into the library to make sure that they were safe. And the library continued even weeks after that to provide resources and services to its community. So we could not have done that without you, and we are so appreciative. So on behalf of everyone in this room, and on behalf of all the first responders around the state right now back in our libraries, thank you very much.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is great to be here, and Nick, that was a hell of an introduction. Somebody got that on tape. Anyway, good morning, everybody, and it's a pleasure to join everyone here at WLA for the Library Legislation Day, an event that I've been proud to support for many, many years as both governor and state superintendent. Welcome, state superintendent. She's doing a great job. I really appreciate her very, very great leadership. So, as many of you know, there's a long distance now. As many of you know too, I was a teacher myself, and like so many teachers and educators, my career has been closely tied to our state's outstanding libraries and librarians. Whether it's our kids learning and exploring in their school libraries, our media centers, or folks in the community who rely on the essential services, as Nick just talked about, of our public, academic, and specialty libraries, I've seen firsthand the positive impact our state libraries have on our kids, our families, and our communities alike. And when safeguarding the health and safety of others required places to close their doors and shift the way things were done, You all went straight to work to make sure that your services did not skip a beat. Throughout the challenges of the past few years, our state's libraries have been leaders in providing curbside services, virtual classes and programs, outdoor activities, and helping folks and families stay connected, and so much more. The ingenuity, resilience, and care you face these challenges with is inspiring, and each of you should be proud of the role you played in getting us where we are today. As we couldn't have done this without you. That's why my office has been glad to recognize the good work with commemorative citations that maybe you could trade them in for some money someplace. but it just recognizes the good work all public libraries across the state have done. And I'm glad to be able to deliver some of them today. And now as we continue to recover from this pandemic, we are reminded of how much our state depends on the work you do and the services you provide, including online education, IT support, helping get folks connected to jobs or job training, or just supporting people that are struggling every single day. Our libraries are hubs and hearts of our community and pillars of our society, and the strength of our libraries are indicative of the state, our democracy, which is challenged from time to time. So keep up the good work. So as our library systems continue to encounter forces that don't necessarily believe that our library should be a place that reflect the interests of all people, we find comfort in recalling the level of excellence the Wisconsin Library Association has historically been known for. This organization is well known for its nonpartisan advocacy and ability to build strong relationships among lawmakers through the constituent stories that you tell. I've relied on the effectiveness and trustworthiness of the WLA many times throughout my career, and I'm excited to see that the new relationships you create underscore how critically important our libraries are to our state's future. So, Advocacy Day. I wish you a successful day. I hope you have a rewarding day as you go out and share the meaningful stories that you have from everyday work in your libraries. So thank you so much, and it's a great honor to be here once again.
So now that you're at the Capitol in Madison, we know that you don't forget your hometown. So we have Leslie Yachman from the Plymouth Public Library here.
Oh my God.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Leslie Yachman. I'm director of the Plymouth Public Library, the proud hometown of our own Governor Evers. As Nick was talking about our essential workers back at our libraries, I wanted to present a thank you from our hometown staff to Governor Evers for his continued support of Wisconsin's and Plymouth's public libraries.
It's really meaningful that you took the time to do that, because I did spend a lot of time in the good old Plymouth Public Library. It's one of those libraries, I know it's been expanded and changed over time, but the place where high school kids and elementary school kids, that was my connection with it at that point in time, went after school, different programming, doing your homework, returning books. They didn't have anything around really high tech at that time, because I'm 70 years old, folks. But it was just a special place for me, and I appreciate all the good work that's been done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Good job, Nick. They really pulled it off.
I think this is a group that knows how to organize. and get into alphabetical order. That is awesome. All right, well, we're gonna move along now. We have Dr. Jill Underly, the state superintendent, here talking with us. And then she will introduce someone that we all know very well, a rock star in the library world here in Wisconsin. But I'll let Dr. Underly do that introduction. And I'm not going to go through the whole, you know where Wikipedia is if you want to know all the biographical statistics. But just in 2021 is when Dr. Underly, in April, last spring, was elected state superintendent. And prior to that, she was superintendent of a school district. Is it Pecatonica? Thank you. I practiced that when we had you. I don't know if you remember, but when during the campaign we had both of the superintendent candidates on, and Dr. Underly was such a good sport, and she came on and talked about her vision for the libraries, and I know she'll continue to give us that today. So, Dr. Underly.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Such a fun group. So, let me just start by saying I'm both excited and honored to be here. Wikipedia, I hate Wikipedia because it's weird. Somebody keeps editing my stuff, and they keep putting this really unflattering picture of me on there that I just need to figure out how to get that out of there. But anyway, Wikipedia and I go way back now. But as well as libraries and I go way back. But I've been a frequent visitor to my local library since I was a child. I was just sharing with various individuals at the agency that, my 4-H meetings were there, our Girl Scout meetings were there. I remember just walking in and looking at the displays. I lived there practically when I was in middle school. But I'm just really glad to be here with you all to help kick off Library Legislative Day. So just a big thank you to the Wisconsin Library Association for sponsoring today and for their continued dedication to improving and promoting library services for the people of Wisconsin. And of course, thank you to all of you, all the library staff here in the room and across Wisconsin. Thank you so much for your great work. I know Governor Evers likes to say that libraries are the living rooms of our communities. I agree, for sure. And I also want to take a moment to thank him for our support, for his support of our libraries. It's just so wonderful that he was able to be here this morning. I agree libraries can be our community living rooms, and I'll expand on that even further. I think libraries are certainly the cornerstones of our communities too. They're the connectors, right, to information, to people, to services, and what could be more important to a community than a connection, especially in our current time. So of course, when we think of libraries, books are where my mind goes first, and don't worry, I'll certainly talk about books here in a second, but libraries connect us to information and services beyond books. And we've seen those creative connections even more than before throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen libraries provide internet connection and hotspots for Wisconsinites without internet access. As Nick said, also people, you're the first line of defense for some people. You're the first people they turn to when they're in trouble, maybe losing a job or just needing information about a health diagnosis. You're there. And we've seen enrichment programs, certainly also throughout the COVID pandemic. Like the virtual programs, the children's story time or resume building, in addition to those other social services like job hunting. So as state superintendent, it's just been my privilege because I get to travel and I get to visit libraries. And I've been to several libraries already, even though I've only been in office 6 months. But I learned, for example, when I visited the Chilton Public Library about their Library of Things program, and I was so jealous. I wish I had that when I was going through this phase of the pandemic where I just needed to try every single hobby that ever was interesting to me, and I invested all this money. I bought a brewing kit, and then I bought a distillery kit, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna just try home quilting and all these other things. And when I went there, I saw that they had canning equipment, they had sewing machines, they had an Instapot. And I thought I could have saved, hundreds of dollars here if I had belonged to the Chilton Library. But they also had the online Cook the Book series, which I thought was brilliant because I love to cook. And so they had a weekly, I think it was, where they would pick a cookbook based off of recommendations from the community, and the librarians would give an online cooking demonstration of recipes that were in that cookbook. And I thought, how fun is that? So I'll have to join in that next time. When I visited the Kaukauna Library, I loved their new retrofitted building. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, but it's an old, I think it's an old paper mill office that they've converted into a library. And they just kept as much as they could of the historical features of that building, and it's just got so much character. But you can tell it's certainly the pride of that community. I was just certainly struck by its community togetherness feel. And maybe that's the most important function we need to remember for libraries, is that they provide this space for individuals to engage with ideas and with each other, and that space creates community. And of course, they provide space to engage with books, so I told you I'd come back to books. So even when that space had to be in a parking lot, when you had to provide curbside or drive-through services earlier in the pandemic. So engaging with books, I recently read, and we all know this to be true, that those who read are more empathetic individuals. And so engaging with books, reading or listening to audiobooks, it's an amazing opportunity to look through a window and widen our understanding of the world. I love to read books that offer me new perspectives and insights. So for example, I'm almost finished with a book. The trend in my reading habits is that I've been reading books with main characters who are not neurotypical. And I also have recently, I'm almost done, I shouldn't say recently, I wrote this before I actually finished the book because I thought I'd be done. I have 5 pages left. And then I had to leave work this morning, or leave the house this morning to get here because I live quite a ways. But I'm almost finished with a novel about the Polish resistance in World War II. And I finished a book previously about a woman who is fictional, but she has autism, and it was about navigating, she was a librarian also, which was interesting. But in both cases, it just made me think about my own roots as a parent with a child who is not neurotypical, but then also the one about the Polish resistance, just exploring and my own roots, my own family history. So, in both cases, fiction that just made me think, and that's what's important. And while you've worked hard to support the needs of your community, those of us at DPI have been working hard to provide statewide leadership and support to our libraries to strengthen our relationship with schools, community organizations, and everyone, frankly, in Wisconsin who could access, in the future, our amazing libraries. So when I became state superintendent, I felt it was important to raise the profile of our public and school libraries, and so that's why I appointed Tessa Michelson-Smith as our assistant state superintendent for the Division for Libraries and Technology. Tessa is a former teacher, school library media specialist, public library librarian, DPI public library consultant, and WLA's 2014 Librarian of the Year. And as the leader of the library services team, she has led the work they've been doing to provide support to libraries in CARES dollars and ARPA grants, building statewide and community partnerships to enable libraries to help users with workforce assistance, and expanding community engagement programs throughout the state. So I will finish this morning by giving some of my time to Tessa to talk further about the great work of our DPI staff and that of our libraries. And I'd like to introduce the DPI's Assistant State Superintendent for the Division of Libraries and Technology and Wisconsin's first state librarian in over 20 years, Tessa Michelson-Smith.
Blushing a little bit. Thank you so much. Thanks, Dr. Underley. Whew. Hi, everybody. It's so great to be here. So great to see faces that have just been little squares on my screen. So just taking a moment to be in this space with you all. I want to start by thanking WLA for all you do to advocate for library staff and to support our Wisconsin communities. And to Laura Souther and the Legislative Day Committee for all of the work putting together today's event. So thank you so much. I also want to take a little bit of time to give some shout outs to all of what's happening in libraries right now. One great thing about Library Legislative Day is that it's close to Valentine's Day. So indulge me while I just share a little love for the next couple of minutes. I want to give a thank you to our library staff, our librarians, volunteers, trustees. In all my years working in libraries and schools and now as a state librarian, I know the work you do is nothing short of amazing. But how you have all come together to take care of your communities during these past 2 years of the pandemic shows the heart, passion, and commitment you share with everyone who walks through your library doors, through your curbside pickup lane, or participates in your online offerings. I'm always so impressed how libraries meet people where they are. I know that my own family has been thankful to have access to curbside pickup, grab-and-go craft kits, and access to canopy streaming as we navigated the pandemic. The library has been crucial in helping us get through it 2 months ago, 2 years ago, and just 2 weeks ago. I feel so proud when my husband tells me how excited he is that an obscure request he made on interlibrary loan was met, and it's at the library waiting for him. Or when my kids go in and they find books that represent their backgrounds and interests. They just feel so validated to see themselves. Alongside local library service, DPI staff have been working hard to provide statewide guidance, resources, and support. The Library Services team has been working tirelessly to get out the CARES and ARPA grants out for our library projects across the state. $1.2 million has allowed for broadband expansion and hotspots, enabling libraries to provide better internet access to library users, including those who drive up and remain in the parking lot to connect for work or their studies. And let's face it, sometimes some cat videos too. In addition to expanding broadband access, we have worked with the library community to provide nearly $2.5 million in additional relief funds to systems and libraries to position libraries as agents of community resiliency during this and future crises. We know that it's going to take more than a year to recover, so we are committed to finding ways to continue to scale these activities to all parts of Wisconsin. The Library Services team mission is to empower Wisconsin libraries to best serve their communities. One way we do this is to assist libraries in working collaboratively with community members. Most recently, the Wisconsin Libraries Transforming Communities program, made possible by the Institute for Museum and Library Services, help coaches and members from 12 different library systems develop skills to identify community needs, wants, and aspirations, and how to plan in response to those needs. The program, detailed in the public report released just last week, helped libraries, along with community partners, find ways to bring communities together, whether it be raising awareness and improving access to community internet hotspot in Marinette County, providing a new Storytime program in Spanish for preschoolers in Oregon, or engaging community members to give input on a library policy and a policy review process in Eau Claire. The pandemic forced isolation for many these past 2 years. The DPI, along with library staff, understand the importance of community engagement in serving the needs identified by the community itself. Library staff are often asked to help library users navigate job search and employment services. A culmination of 3 years of work through the Libraries Activating Workforce Development Skills, or LAWDS, project created workforce assistant resources for libraries, including webinars, a marketing toolkit, and recently a digital ad campaign. The success of this project is possible because of the IMLS, as well as the long-standing collaboration between the DPI, the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, Library Systems, WLA, and Wisconsin's Workforce Development Boards. That's a lot of people doing great work for our communities. Those kinds of partnership allow Wisconsin libraries to help all library users, whether they walk into a library for help or they search online, whether they're looking for a job or other workforce assistance. Despite the extra work brought on by the pandemic, our staff continues to provide the essential services that they have always have, like WISCAT, interlibrary loan, BadgerLink, and direct consulting to school and public library staff, the digital archives, and expanding literacy skills for all learners through the collaborative summer library program and online reading programs like Beanstack. And the great work being done by the DPI in our libraries, partnerships are key. By making more connections and building partnerships between the local, system, and state levels, we can further meet the needs of Wisconsin communities. I am proud of what we have accomplished so far, and I am so excited for what our future holds. It is truly an honor and privilege to be your state librarian. I feel so honored to be appointed by Dr. Underly. Libraries serve their communities in incredible ways. Keep up the great work and keep your head up. Remember, your voice is important today and every day. Make sure you are heard and make sure others understand the incomparable value libraries bring to their communities. Thank you.
And DPI has just done amazing work over these last few years. It's just been incredible. I mentioned earlier at the beginning when executive orders now were coming down and people were just trying to get their footing on what does this all mean and where do we fit into this. And so coming out of the Department of Public Instruction, there was a lot of clarification and questions answered, and it was absolutely essential to us. So welcome to our legislative friends. Yep, squeeze that in there. While they sit down, I just want to do a few thank yous. And if I forget anyone, get your name wrong, I do apologize, not really, but let's see here. So we have, for photos to make us all look amazing, I know I stressed Steve out a little bit, where putting the fire under as we moved along the with the photos, but he made us all look so good. So Steve, the flatterer, platter. For making the appointments machinery run so smoothly on today's day, the last few years. James, just give me the names Ramsey. For making this morning program a classy affair, Hannah, don't skip on the bunting. For his calming disposition and temperament as our Library Legislative Day Chair, Bruce, it'll all be okay. For being only 6 months in her role as WLA Executive Director, yet being everywhere, Laura Flying Saucer. Giving us gentle guidance on how we should approach the legislative process. Steve, it's your way or the Conway. Two retirees that have been instrumental in kind of stepping in the breach when we've needed it across the state, and certainly under Steve's is ready to respond to any legislative crisis. Connie wears the fire Meyer. And for shocking legislative aids into, sorry, not you of course, but shocking legislative aids into submission with data and facts, Kathy the Taser Klager. Our LDNL committee chair, Peter, let's keep it lawful. We have Mark, I'll run that errand. Mayama, when do I get time to read? Sherry, 3 phones Machonis, for always keeping up on federal and all the other. Vicky, ain't it lovely, who was in charge with Mark Yoakum here, in charge of all the camera work today. Someone who just got pulled onto the LDNL committee and almost right away into a leadership position. Betsy, what the heck, Bleck? For always being prompt and present in his role as MC of this program. Nick, does anyone know where his ass is, Damascus? All right, here we go. So I promise we won't swear in the Capitol. There won't be any swear words. So, someone up here has a swear jar in their office. Okay. So first, our first awardee, these awards really, we could just give everybody an award if it was just something that they loved libraries. But this is really about a point in time that was just critical, and those that stepped up and just made a huge difference in the legislative process. And so as you see here what her plaque says, I'm going to have the most important of everyone up here, Stamena. You come up here first. So Stamena Aimov is the legislative aide to Senator Felskowski. And she, you might remember, I think it was like 8:53 on a Sunday evening, saw something, an email that might have been confusing to our request that we had made, a substantial request. And all eyes were going to be on it and say, wait a second, if you're getting $3.5 million from over there, why are we giving you $6 million for... And so she called up Steve Conway and said, I think we have an issue here. And so he spent all of Monday then running around and working his magic so that on Tuesday morning everybody was understood and it was clarified what that meant so that the vote could come down and then the systems got their allocation. So for you, thank you very much. And I want you to read what it says right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
For her efforts on behalf of Wisconsin libraries, and because behind every great legislator is a great legislative aide.
That's right.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really, I appreciate it. And my favorite part as staff about working with the libraries is you're all solutions people, and not everyone is. And when you see a problem, you just want to fix it. You don't care about credit or bickering about who caused it. You just want to help, and that's invaluable. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Representative Loudenbeck, this is her 4th award from the Wisconsin Library Association here. And she has been a very good friend to libraries. She is also in my district for the Beloit Public Library, and so she's become a personal friend. Although that's become it's a little bit shaky right now because she's promised for years she would bring her goats to the library for goat story time, and we still haven't seen it. So I kind of fought against this award this year. I said, look, no goats, no award. But I was outvoted. So for Representative Loudenbeck, who is now running for the Secretary of State, so this is at least the last time as an assembly member, potentially, that she will be here with us up here receiving an award. Just has always teed up everything we needed. And it's not all about money. We had bills that needed to happen for the collection agencies, for some of the tribal libraries, and some other issues that Representative Loudenbeck in the Assembly stepped up and made sure that those were shepherded through. So I want to call her up here with this. So I did call her Danielle Zimmerman, who's her Chief of Staff, and I said, Danielle, I got the perfect campaign chant for Representative Loudenbeck as she's going on to Secretary of State. Danielle didn't like it, which is why she's not getting an award this year. So what I want to do is it's a participatory chant. So if I say loud in the front, then let's have this whole row all along here, okay? And then loud in the back, and then that. Okay, are you ready? Get loud in the front. Get loud in the back. Let's all
the Finance Committee for 4 budgets, and this is my 4th award, and each one is really special. And it's been really fun getting to know all of you. You probably know in the past I've done my Blue Book Blitz. So I took my Blue Books and I had listening sessions at all the different libraries in my assembly district. And it was a great way to partner with the libraries, get people to come in and be comfortable and have a waiting space. It is more than just the funding. It's remembering that libraries are a resource in your community. I mean, especially when you think about whether it's the northern Wisconsin or Beloit, people they come in and they ask, if they can come in, I'll come to your office in Madison and meet with you. And I'm like, I live in Clinton. Can we just meet and, get a meeting room in the Beloit Library? I mean, all these resources that are available within our communities, if we just know how to access them and leverage the power that they have. So you guys have been great partners to me as a citizen and as a legislator, and I just want to say that I really appreciate that. And on the goats in the garden, I mean, we have the whole thing all figured out. We just had to, actually, didn't you have to change a city ordinance so that we could have livestock in a city?
We don't worry about that.
Yeah. But I think we've got all the particulars worked out. And it's just something that whatever we can do to encourage readers, young and old, and provide them with what they need. I know the library, Nick's library has a great partnership with State Line Literacy Foundation, which has also been an area of passion for me. So anyway, just to let you know that that I appreciate all that you do, and I really, really appreciate this award today. Thank you.
Senator Felskowski. Mary. So, this is Senator Felskowski's 4th award too. And she also in 2016 received her first Library Champion Award. And then somehow our communication got mixed, and the next time she received she didn't think you could receive more than 1 award. And so the next time she received the Legislator of the Year award. And then after that, still thinking that, she went and got married so that she could change her name from Mary Chaya, as Representative Chaya, to Felskowski to try to fool us. And we still gave her the award. And I guess you still don't believe us, because then she ran for senator just to make sure that got by. She could get yet another one. So knowing your husband Fry, I would not even insinuate that there's going to be a name change for a 5th one. But it'll be exciting to see what other positions in that, what the future holds for you. So thank you very much. And I just do want to say that as Representative Loudenbeck moved things forward in the Assembly, it really was Senator Felskowski, especially this last time, that really got in there, grabbed that ball, and carried it over the finish line. Just incredible work. Every legislator, if I could just say, has a number one project, and this was her number 1 project last spring. And she carried over the line, and the systems are all the better for it, which means all the libraries in the local communities are better for it. And, excuse me, and Wisconsin is better for it. Thank you.
Name changes, and I now believe you, Nick, that you can do this more than once. But we talk a lot, and Secretary Underly talked a lot about the reading aspect of libraries. But I'll tell you what, I represent 12 counties in northeastern Wisconsin, and what I saw our libraries do during the pandemic, they were forced to shut down for a while, but then they were the first ones to open because they knew the importance of giving access to broadband, giving access to people that needed to, fill out forms for unemployment, for DWD, for everything else. And our librarians do more in our in my district towards helping people with resumes and helping people, complete, because you're not intimidating. You're warm and you're welcoming and you give a setting. So I never want to minimize the importance of the reading aspect, but what you have done for the communities in the 12th Senate District and my constituents on helping them stay connected through a very unconnected time is invaluable. So thank you for the award, but I would really just want to say if there was an award we could give to everyone in this room for your compassionate caring about all your members and all your communities, it would be invaluable to me to be able to give that to you. So from the depth of our heart, thank you very much for what you do. And we will be fighting in the next budget too, because I know Steve's going to have another ask. And Nick will be right there with him. Thanks again.
Well, thank you. Let's give another round for this year's awardee. Such a fun part of the show. Such a fun part of the program. So now we will have our friend that we've been talking about throughout this. Just a minute. Mr. Steve Conway.